Welcome to Easy Driver, the most reliable source of automotive information on YouTube. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Every year, trailer truck accidents cause thousands of injuries, many of them preventable. A recent study found nearly half of these crashes involve brake failures, with emergency brakes often overlooked during inspections. These backup systems aren't just a last resort. They're a frontline defense against disasters. When emergency brakes fail, the results can be catastrophic. Yet a quick check takes minutes and could stop a runaway truck before it happens. If you haul heavy loads, this isn't just routine maintenance, it's a non-negotiable. Let's break down why this small step matters so much. Why emergency brakes are critical for trailer trucks. Emergency brakes aren't just another part of your truck, they're the last line of defense when everything else fails. Unlike standard brakes, which rely on constant air pressure, emergency brakes work in reverse. They activate when they lose pressure, making them a true fail-safe system. Without them, a simple air leak could turn a loaded trailer into an unstoppable hazard. Let's examine how they work, why laws enforce their use, and what happens when they're ignored. The mechanics of emergency brakes in trailer trucks. Emergency brakes use a clever design to ensure they kick in automatically when needed. Here's how. Spring brake chambers do the heavy lifting. They contain a powerful spring that stays locked in place by air pressure while driving. If pressure drops, the spring releases, slamming the brakes shut. Air pressure acts as the off switch. Normal brakes need air to engage, but emergency brakes need air to disengage. Lose pressure and they clamp down instantly. No power? No problem. Since they're mechanically triggered, even an electrical failure won't stop them from working. Think of it like a mousetrap. The spring is cocked and ready, held back only by air pressure. Cut that pressure and snap, the brakes lock. Simple but life-saving. Legal and safety regulations regarding emergency brakes. Regulators don't leave emergency brakes to chance. The FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, mandates they must. Hold the truck stationary on a 20% grade, even without air pressure. Be tested regularly during pre-trip inspections. Auto-engage if air pressure falls below 45 psi. States enforce penalties for non-compliance ranging from fines to out-of-service orders. In some cases, neglecting emergency brake maintenance can lead to criminal liability, especially if an accident occurs. Would you trust a parachute that wasn't packed right? Emergency brakes are the same. One inspection could mean the difference between a close call and a catastrophe. Common causes of emergency brake failure. Even the toughest emergency brakes can fail if ignored. Most breakdowns happen gradually, not suddenly, giving you time to catch problems early. The trick is knowing what to look for. Here are the top reasons these critical systems fail, and how to spot trouble before it's too late. Signs your emergency brakes may be failing. Catching brake issues early keeps small problems from turning into disasters. Watch for these red flags. Unusual noises. Grinding, squealing or clunking sounds when brakes engage means something's wrong. Metal on metal noise. That's an emergency repair. Reduced braking power. If stopping takes longer than usual, or the trailer feels sluggish, pressure loss or worn pads could be the culprit. Visible damage. Check for cracked drums, frayed cables or rusted springs during inspections. Corrosion spreads fast. Air hissing. A constant hiss means leaks, and leaks mean pressure drops that can disable your failsafe. Uneven braking. If the trailer pulls to one side during stops, one side's brakes may be failing faster than the other. Like a fever signaling infection, these symptoms warn you before total failure hits. Wear and tear, the silent killer. Brakes work hard and friction eats them alive. Springs weaken, pads thin out and cables stretch over time. Mileage matters, but so does load weight. Heavy hauls accelerate wear. Inspect these parts every 3 to 6 months. Brake shoes and linings, replace if under 1/4 inch thick. Spring brake chambers, look for rust or fatigue. Slack adjusters, must move freely. Ignoring worn parts is like driving on bald tires. Eventually they'll blow. Air leaks, the invisible threat. Emergency brakes rely on air pressure to stay disengaged. Even small leaks can. Drain pressure until brakes engage unexpectedly. Cause delayed response during sudden stops. Trigger false low-pressure warnings. Check airlines daily for cracks. Listen for hissing around fittings. A soapy water spray bubbles up, leaks like finding a puncture in a bike tire. Maintenance mistakes that backfire. Skip a step during servicing, and you might as well skip the brakes entirely. Common slip-ups include over-tightening adjusters which strains components, mixing old and new parts, causing uneven performance, using cheap aftermarket springs that can't handle the load. Stick to OEM parts and follow service intervals to the letter. How weather wrecks your brakes. Extreme heat or cold tests brakes worse than any mountain descent. Here's why. Below freezing. Moisture in airlines turns to ice, blocking pressure, scorching temps. Heat warps drums and fries lubricants. Salt and rain. They invite rust that eats springs and cables. Park indoors when possible. In bad weather, test brakes twice as often. The bottom line. Most brake failures start small. Spot them early and you've got a quick fix. Miss the signs and you're gambling with lives. Next time you inspect, pretend it's your family on the road ahead. That's what's at stake. How to properly inspect emergency brakes. Emergency brakes won't save you if they're neglected. A proper inspection blends quick visual checks, hands-on tests, and knowing when to call a pro. Skip the guesswork. Here's how to verify your trailer's last line of defense is ready when you need it. Best practices for emergency brake maintenance. Routine care keeps emergency brakes reliable. Stick to these steps to avoid surprises on the road. Lubricate moving parts monthly. Apply high-temperature grease to slack adjusters and pivot points to prevent corrosion. Replace worn components early. Springs lose tension over time and linings wear thin. Swap them before they fail. Seasonal adjustments matter. Cold weather contracts metal while heat expands it. Check tension in spring brakes before extreme seasons. Clean brake drums regularly. Dust and grime reduce friction. A quick wipe down during inspections helps. Treat these brakes like your truck's heartbeat. Consistent checks keep them strong.
That's it for part 1.
You've seen the risks of worn-out emergency brakes. Next, we'll show you how to inspect and test them properly.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Please comment, like, share and subscribe for more automotive information like this.
Thank you for watching.